Hello and welcome to the Bucket List Show. I'm Tammy Crandell with Adventure Travel and Tours and Barron Real Estate, and I'm here with my co-host Rebecca Danise, providing real estate services through Barron Real Estate as well as a focus on property management. The intention of our show, the Bucket List Show, is to serve you so we can help you fill your bucket to live your most abundant life. And what that means for each one of us,
it's different.
It is different. Yep. And that really is going to be our focus of the show today, is really talking about why the Bucket List Show, right? Why the Bucket List Show? Some of you out there may have heard some terms like FOMO or YOLO. And FOMO is like fear of missing out. YOLO is you only live once, you know. So we have a lot of people that talk about those things. And the bucket list is kind of like that. But it's really about setting a plan to do things.
It's
right?
our personal life goals, our to-do list.
Absolutely.
You know, achievements, whatever we want it to look like,
exactly.
big or small.
Right. So some examples of that could be maybe you've never paddleboarded. Now you've probably heard me say that multiple times.
I know, we got to do that.
And that's because it's one of those things that's on my bucket list. You know,
right.
and that I've never done paddleboarding, but I love the water, and I love the state of Florida.
Yep.
I love the Treasure Coast specifically because the weather here is absolutely beautiful. And so that's one of those things that I've never done before.
We just got to find a big pool so I could do it with you.
Well, you know, I'm working on, doing some core strength training, because you got to be able to balance,
Get up there.
And, so eventually I'll do those things. But that's just one example of things that might be on your bucket list. Sometimes, I've talked to some and they're like, oh, I don't like talking about a bucket. It's like, I got to do this before I die.
Well, that's it. Everybody, the idea is, you hear kick the bucket.
That's right.
Right. But the idea of the bucket list is really just, for me, it's things that are just personal. It's not my work to-do list or, the honey-do list at home. Or,
of course.
It's my list. So for me, definitely, we've talked about Hawaii, so I am definitely going to go to Hawaii somehow. And then my next immediate bucket list goal is I want to be able to ride my bike 10 miles.
Oh,
don't ask me why, but I just want to do that. So, and then a bunch of other stuff. I think it's a good
goal. I mean, my husband and I, we've focused on trying to get healthier. So that could be that type of thing on your list as well. As we start to age, things don't work the way they used to.
Isn't that a bummer?
So our focus could be we want to have healthier bodies, so we can do some of the things that we want to do, whether that's hiking, or biking, and even that bucket list can go even deeper in that maybe you've never owned a home before, and you're not sure what it takes for that to happen. So, we bring people on the show periodically to talk to people about those very subjects or topics that can help people lead them to those spaces and what it's going to take to help them fulfill their bucket list.
Right. And when we talk about, we're here to serve you so you could have an abundant life. I mean, the idea behind the bucket list show, it is to bring joy to you personally.
Absolutely.
Those accomplishments should bring you joy, whatever that looks like. So again, it could be a trip, it could be health, but it's a personal achievement.
Absolutely.
That, like we said, it's different for everybody, but the goal is that, we all should have an abundant life. Whatever that looks like.
Right.
It could be where you want to open up your own tea shop or, maybe you do want to start that business or go on that trip. But you got to start somewheres. And the idea is that we forget about ourselves and we do all the to-do list or the kids list or everybody else's. But, we got to take care of ourselves too.
Well, and I think in turn, when we do take care of ourselves, we in turn are able to better take care of others.
Right.
So sometimes part of that bucket list is, maybe you are a person you're a giver. You have that strong giver nature, but you have a tendency to throw everything else by the wayside. You don't do some things to help yourself. So if you have that philanthropic nature and you want to be able to give, what are some steps that you can take throughout your life, whether it's in your job or, a certain goal that you have, so you have the means and the ability to help others.
Right.
You know, so those are all things that lead us to a better place, to be able to help others around us.
Yeah, and I think it's true. We need to be proactive with our own lives. And we, at least for me, I tend to be proactive with, you know, if it's something to do with business or the house or the kids. So we forget to be first. But, you know, the idea of really riding the bike for me is so I know when I go to Hawaii, I'm going to be strong enough to do whatever I need to do before I get too old and I can't do it, you know,
Right.
or anything like that. But, you know, that's something that I want to conquer. So
Right.
it's, you know, it's a personal thing on that bucket list. You know, you could search the bucket list and get 100 ideas, Grand Canyon, Utah, Montana, Disney, whatever, you know, the
Right.
traditional ones. But again, no boxes.
Well, and that's it. You know, that's kind of our hashtag. Our hashtag is no boxes. And that's because, you know, in our mindset, you know, when you have a box, that means you're confined to something.
Right.
You know, when you have no boxes, you're limitless. You're limitless, and you know, it's not just the sky is the limit.
Right.
It's like everything around you has no limit. So, you know, being able to go after some things. I've met people that for the entirety of their lives they struggled maybe to run, but then what do? They start exercising more, and then they train and they do one of these 5K
The
runs.
marathons, yep.
Yeah, the marathons, you know, half marathons, full marathons. And those things don't happen overnight, but they all took place with a plan in
Right.
mind and a process
Right.
for them to get there, right?
Right, and the bucket list is the first step. You know, when we dream, you know, we're meant to dream, but we got to put that dream into fruition. So, and that's important. It's not going to happen if it's not written down. You don't look at it. You don't think
Right,
on it. It's like a
right.
vision board or the to-do list or whatever it is that you want to do. I mean, something on your bucket list could just be that, you know, I want to read 12 books this year.
Right.
You know, I want to be able to do a brain game. So there's so many different things, but it all ties back to joy in your personal life,
That's right. That's
whatever
right.
that looks like.
Well, and even with our company at Journey Venture, Journey Venture Travel and Tours, we talk a lot to clients that are like, oh, I want to go visit Italy, and I want to go to Germany, and oh, I'd like to see Austria, and oh, I'd like to go to Croatia, and let's go to Iceland, and you know, so their brains work an awful lot like mine, and that I've got a lot, you know, on my list up there. But the reality is you can't do it all at one time.
No.
You know, it's just not, it's unrealistic to set that kind of expectation. So what happens is they just don't do anything. And that's a real problem. So,
Yeah.
so what we try to do, with our clients at Journey Venture, if you have that kind of brain mindset, and a lot of people do, is, you know, let's put it down to paper. Let's put it on the list
Yeah.
and determine, okay, what really out of all those places, what is really the most important place for you to want to visit or go to?
Yeah.
And then we can narrow it down for there, because you can set a plan just like you would for retirement or your savings or putting money aside to put money down on a house. All of those things require some level of planning. So
Correct.
just like that, whether it's you've got these items that you want to take off your bucket, such as the bike, the 10-mile bike
just
ride,
cross
right?
it off.
You know, and then I'm sure that once you get to that point, you're going to say, okay, I've done the 10 miles, and now I want to
Right.
do a 20-mile bike ride,
Right.
you know?
You know, every time we have an accomplishment, you know, personally, you know, that experience just ups it a notch for us.
It does.
And then, you know, when you're feeling good, then it, you know, compounds to you. And, you know, the goal is for all of us to have joy and to have an abundance of life, whatever that looks like. It
Sure,
could be
sure.
camping in Vermont,
Right, right.
you know, amongst the spiders.
Yeah, and I know that, you know, for the women out there who are working women that do the types of things that we
Yeah.
do, you know, a lot of times we're the last ones on the list.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, we put everybody else in front of, and you know, and that's all well and good and good natured. You know, comes out with a good, honest intention, but then you neglect yourself
Right.
at the same time. So there is a way to be able to have that happy balance.
It is.
You know.
And I think as women, we tend to be people pleasers. And, you know, we
Sure.
say yes. And I think as you get older, you know, it's okay to say no.
It is.
And I think, you know, you break down, you know, that list. And listen, it doesn't have to be 100 things, but you got to start somewheres for yourself.
Well, and we've
You know?
we've had guests on the show previously. One of our authors that we've had in the past. We talked about that very thing and the things that inspired me to do something as simple as, making myself breakfast
Yeah.
just for myself.
Encouraged you.
It didn't matter that was Sunset on Malibu,
Yep,
right?
Yep, Samantha.
Yeah, Samantha Jones
Darling.
Darling. That's
Yep,
right.
she's
So we
on
had
her
her on the
second
show.
book. Yep.
Yes, and so
that
that was
inspired
fun.
you.
Yeah, it really did because, I'm a person who loves to cook and I like to experiment with different things. And, so it's easy for me to, throw meals together and feed the army at home. But then, when it's just me and I'm at home, I'm like, well, it's just me. I'm going to grab a half a bagel or, slap some, peanut butter on it or whatever. When the reality is maybe I'll enjoy that wonderful meal that I created myself, and it really, what was so great about that experience, what was so encouraging about that is it was something that I did to take time for myself. And it didn't take a lot of time.
No, and when you cooked the meal and the presentation was nice, and you
yeah.
got to sit down and just take
made
a
it taste
breath.
so much better.
It was for you,
Yeah.
and there was nothing wrong with you taking that little bit of time
Absolutely.
because, listen, our time gets eaten
It does.
so quickly. So I think we need to know where we are every day, what we're going to do every day.
Absolutely.
And that's why that dream and the bucket list is so important. Even if it's just traveling all through Florida, going to see the Keys, or if you live in Connecticut, you're going to go to New York, or we want to enjoy our big country.
Well, and we live not only in one of the most beautiful states in
Yeah.
the country, but
You're
we really
lucky.
live in a beautiful place here on the Treasure Coast.
Yeah.
There's so many great places that we can enjoy the outdoors with. And it
Yeah.
doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be out doing something strenuously physically active and sweating bullets. You don't have to necessarily do that. But you could do something as simple as taking a ride on the tiki
Yeah.
down in Stewart.
Yeah.
You spend that $10 or $12 or $15, whatever it is for the day,
Yeah,
grab you a
just
couple of drinks while you're
enjoy.
on board and just enjoy the water.
Listen,
Sit
yeah.
back and the music. So that in and of itself is a great experience. We've got a lot of great local up and coming musicians in
Yeah.
our area
A lot
that
of
perform.
concerts, our
Yes.
theaters, Kravitz Center,
So
Pretty
there's
Woman.
so much to
We
do.
really
so,
do.
so doesn't it kill you, when people say there's absolutely nothing here to do?
Yeah, but we say that in every state. So my kids would say that in Connecticut. And the reality is, if you're in Florida or Connecticut or California, I mean, there's wonderful things where you are too. And that's where you tie in, the bucket list, so you do get it done. I mean,
Absolutely.
People haven't seen a lot of places here, but other places in America, it doesn't have to be, your bucket list has to be Europe, or maybe you do want to figure out how to drive a sailboat or paddleboard. So we're just going to have to get that paddleboard going, because we're going to be saying that
I know,
forever.
we'll be saying paddleboard forever.
I
Yes,
know.
exactly.
I know, we have to get it done. So I'll film while she does the paddleboard.
There you go. There you go.
No,
so listen,
no.
we've got a lot more to talk about when we get back. We're going to take a couple-minute break, and we will see you when we return. Are you looking to buy, sell, or lease your commercial property? Do you want to sell your business? Do you need a property manager? The Jeremiah Barron and Company commercial real estate experts have managed over $1 billion in commercial real estate transactions. Our agents focus on each client's specific needs to deliver results. For more information, visit treasurecoastcommercialrealestate.com. Located in St. Lucie West, Barron Academy is a private school that caters to students with autism and other unique needs. Barron Academy hosts grades K to 8, offering paced lessons and smaller class sizes guided by a passionate team of experienced educators. Curriculums are tailored to each student's abilities, which builds confidence while nurturing learning. For more information, visit exceptionalacademymypsl.com.
Welcome back, everyone. I am Rebecca Danise, again, co-host of the Bucket List Show with Tammy.
Hello.
So we're going to continue on with the conversation we have. So for the bucket list, what it reminds me of is the movie with Jack Nicholson and Morgan Freeman. It was The Bucket List, and it was back in 2007. And, you know, they're nearing the end of their life, and now they're going to travel all over the country to check off their bucket list.
Right.
Which is a good thing. But we don't want you to do that. We want you to start now with your bucket list so you can live the abundant life too. And that's how we started this. So we just didn't want to have a random newsletter or video or streaming show to say, okay, this is how you buy a house, bing, bing, bing. This is how you make passive income, or this is how you're going to build that trip. We wanted it to be a little bit of everything. Like we said, we had authors on.
That's true.
We've had banks on. We've had a tech company on. So we want to give well-rounded information in a good, fun format.
Well, and the thing that is a common thread, if I look back at the guests that we've had on the show, and what has been a common thread with each one of them, is it started with some sort of dream or plan that they had. And maybe at that time that they set those things, it seemed unattainable at the time, where they're like, I don't know if I can do this. How far can I take this? So being able to know that you're going in the right direction, you know, to me, if you know that what you're doing is helping others, serving others, and it helps to enhance and fulfill the quality of life for those that are around you as well, it's got to be the right thing.
Yeah, it has to be. I mean, you know, the idea of, you know, serving people and being kind, and it doesn't matter if you're selling real estate or you're doing travel or you're a doctor. I mean, the idea is that we do want to be kind to each other. We do want to help each other.
Right.
And we do want to live an abundant life. And when we say abundant, it doesn't mean wealth or money or anything. It could be your health. It could be your family. It could be the village that you make. It could be making a paddleboard group that it could be, you know, enjoy it, or it could be writing that book that you've always wanted to write.
Exactly. It's like living your life to the full, whatever that means to you. I mean, for some people, they may have lived very active lives, and for them, their desire is to have that home with a wraparound porch that they can sit in their rocking chair every day for 45 minutes sipping lemonade. You know, and for some, they're like, oh my gosh, that would be a nightmare to me, right? But for others, you know, they've lived such busy lives that it just makes sense to them. I mean, how many times have you met people who maybe were in corporate America, and now they're living in a rural setting? They're raising chickens and pigs and cows and this craziness, because that was more fulfilling for them.
Well, we get so, I mean, I know in my career, you know, 30 years as a banker, I mean, you work tons of hours, you know, that becomes first, and then you realize, and, you know, maybe the family's not as first as they should be, and it gets all backwards, at least for me. So for me now, I like this platform of helping others.
I do
and
too.
I know that will help me. But, you know, I think when we encourage others, it helps us to grow. But, you know, and then just being kind and have that compound. We have enough stress in this world, you know, just turning on the news.
Right.
So this should be lighthearted and fun. And if someone wants to sip lemonade on the porch, that's a beautiful thing. That's a beautiful thing. We don't want to judge people. Someone may want to go fishing, and I'm the one at the beach with the book just taking pictures. And that's good.
Absolutely.
But that's my joy.
Well, and that's exactly it. It's about taking a step back, recognizing, or even just taking a few minutes of your day to say, you know, living life with gratitude and thankfulness. You know, I'm a big proponent of God first, family.
Absolutely.
Okay. And, you know, there's no accident. I wouldn't be here without our maker. So,
I
so
agree.
I'm very big on that. And it's making sure, are we in alignment with what it is that we're intended to do?
Right.
So that's part of it. And at the same time, having the experience that you and I both have had in the banking industry, you know, we worked with so many small business owners that, you know, you see people who get so exhausted working in the trenches every day, and they never take the time to work on the business. At some point when they started that business, they were passionate about what it is that they were doing, but now the business is owning them as opposed to them owning the business. So we've always encouraged, take some time for yourself, even if that's just a couple days away.
Right.
And that time for yourself could be, like, well, I really can't be away from the business. I'm in this formative stage. Okay, so take 2 days away.
Yeah.
Spend some of that time, block out some time for yourself, and that could be, like you said, sitting in a chair on the beach reading a book, if that's what you want to do, or blocking out some time to focus on your business as opposed to working so hard within. And you'd be surprised at how refreshed you come back, and now you've got, your mind is clear and you're forward thinking, and that just makes a better that makes you a better business owner, makes you a better planner.
And when you're, I know for me in my career, it definitely was running me instead of the other way around, because I do agree, especially now as I'm older, it should be God first, our family first. But the idea is you get so overwhelmed because then it controls you. And that's not what it's meant to do. Right. It really is meant to be, life shouldn't be a checklist, a to-do list, whatever, bucket list. The idea is that you really do want to enhance your life so you're not overwhelmed. We only get one shot at this, and it goes very, very quick. I mean, I still think I'm 16, but I'm not,
Well,
so it flies
inwardly,
by.
inside our heads, we can imagine that, 17, 18, when I pass the mirror every day.
Yeah, but
you have those visualizations of yourself, like, who is that old lady in the mirror,
we have
I know that I experience that every day.
No, I do, but we have to be accountable for our life, and we need to be, the control over it. Because it's so easy, the news, the people, the media, whatever, everybody has an opinion, and you just got to listen to yourself and follow what makes sense for you.
Agreed. Agreed.
And it doesn't have to be anything big or grand. You could just be happy volunteering and reading those couple books and doing that paddle board and, find that group. That's your village.
So tell me, why Hawaii?
Oh, I don't know. I do know. So years ago, my whole family brought my grandmother, and I was like 18.
Okay.
And they're like, well, do you want to go? And I'm like, no, I don't want to leave my boyfriend. I don't want to, someone should have smacked me in the head, because the cousins went, my sisters went, my grandmother, my aunt, but me. And then we were planning a family trip when COVID happened.
Oh,
we
I
would have
see.
went, and that changed it.
Of
and
course.
then, the dynamic, a couple years later, everybody's life's different with my children. So I'm definitely going to go.
Right. But here's a common thread, right? Is that family thing, those things that you miss out on.
Yeah, we just interruptions, the pandemic.
And family doesn't necessarily have to be everybody you're related to.
Right.
It could be the close-knit friendships that you've developed.
Oh, absolutely.
With people around you. I know we network a lot. And a lot of the people we network with, they're like extended family to us.
And I do think it takes a village. People, we need to reach out to each other and help each other. But for Hawaii, plus it's the Brady Bunch. I mean, did you ever see the Brady Bunch?
Oh, yes. Everything's well.
So I got to go find Greg. No, I'm teasing. It's just on my list.
Oh,
and I could see myself walking through my little light backpack, my bucket water, my camera, and I'd be a happy camper just taking pictures of everybody else all day. I mean, I love that. That's totally my thing.
Well, and for me, mine is really the Christmas markets. Germany, Austria.
Nice.
And those areas, being in those areas at a time, I've always been a huge fan of like Hummels and all of that art that takes place there. So being able to be in on the ground, the United States is really a young country in comparison to many. So, but there are so many different things that we can help, put on board here for you guys. That's really what the Bucket List Show is all about.
Yeah.
So, so what we're asking is to, we ask you for your suggestions of things you'd like to see. If you haven't seen something that we've talked about, we want you to be a part of our show, a part of our YouTube channel. We have a Facebook page, the Bucket List Show.
We want to bring everybody into the fold.
So that way, we can get some great suggestions. We've incorporated a group called the Bucket List Gang, even on Facebook. For those of you out there who are foodies, who like to travel, come join the Bucket List Gang. Just tell them Tammy Crandell sent you.
Yep.
And we'll get you on that page. So when we start to do more events, you can see what those events are, whether it's a day trip or a new trip that we have up and coming, and you just want to be a part of that. So please reach out to us. We'd love to help you. For me, Tammy Crandell, you can reach out to me directly at 772-882-3165. And for
I
Rebecca?
am Rebecca Danise, so 203-482-7297. Thank you for joining us, and be kind, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you so much.